episode of Things Are Fair. My name is Kendi Akinolu. Today we'll be discussing a very thought-provoking topic, which is peer pressure. But before we continue, we'll go on a quick break. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Things Are Fair. My name is Kendi Akinolu. And as I said earlier, we're discussing a very important topic, peer pressure. I have with me three important guests that would help us analyze and discuss this topic. I have to my left Esther. Welcome, Esther. And I also have Daniel. Welcome, Daniel.
Thank you.
And I have the very popular Pastor Sam Salau. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, ma'am.
All right. The very first question of today is, what is peer pressure? Esther, can you help me?
Peer pressure is when an individual is being influenced by something or by other group of people, either positively or mostly negatively.
Daniel?
Okay, I'll say peer pressure is the influence on an individual by a group of people.
Okay. Sir, can you help us define it in your own terms?
Oh, simple as you have defined it. Influence.
Influence.
Like the word sounds, peer pressure. When your peers put you under pressure to do something.
All right. And why is peer pressure an especially strong force in a teenager's life? A lot of teenagers, at one point in time, must have experienced peer pressure. Why is it such a strong force?
Because teenagers derive their pleasure from the acceptance of their mates. The people they move with, the people they see as their colleagues, as their peers, the way they accept them boosts their ego. And to get that acceptability from their mates, they want to do what their friends are doing, engage in what their friends are engaging, or what their friends recommend to them to do. That becomes a very strong influence on them. That's why you see a child that is raised in a godly home will just go to school and his friends will teach him or teach her to do against what his parents have been teaching him to do. And rather prefer to take what his friends are offering to him than what his parents have told him. At that point, he sees his parents as the old school. His friends are the new school who knows what is real and what he should be doing.
Yes. All right. And you said it's basically trying to belong with your peers. Daniel, do you agree with what you said?
Yeah, I totally agree. So it's you agreeing or accepting your peers. It might be positively or negatively. So in negative aspects now, take a look at it this way. You're amongst this set of people that smokes, that do all sort of rubbish. They will surely influence you. They will give you false knowledge. Because what your parents have told you at home is that don't smoke. Don't do this. So they're passing false information to you, and you want to adhere to it. So that influence
just to be accepted
amongst them. So you won't feel like, oh, I don't belong.
I'm not an outcast.
Exactly.
All right. Esther, I want to ask, they've mentioned positive and negative peer pressure. Do you think that there is something like positive peer pressure? And have you experienced it before?
I have not experienced positive peer pressure.
So negative peer pressure. Wow. And did you succumb to it?
At some point I did, and then later I went back to it.
Thank God, right?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you think is, can you give me, even if you've not experienced a positive peer pressure, do you have an idea of what it is?
Positive, when a particular person, when you're being influenced, for example, if you have a friend, and then you guys are godly children of God, and you meet this set of group of people that are always smoking, drinking, and doing all sorts of things, and then you get yourself involved in it. You get yourself among those bad people, and your friend is trying to help you and telling you to move away from it.
From them.
Yes.
So that's an example of a positive peer pressure. That's very good. That's very good. And I would like to ask, what is something that, like you said, you've been exposed to negative peer pressure. Can you give me an example of that negative peer pressure that you have been exposed to?
For me, I've been exposed to, there was a time in secondary school, I was trying to be all, I want to stay with Christ. I want to always be as godly as possible. But my classmates, fortunately, we were all girls.
Okay.
So we're always influenced, and they're like, no, let's listen to this music, that music. And then I'll be like, no, I don't want to listen to this. But unfortunately for them, unfortunately for me, they get to have this way to influence people. It's just one way or the other, they'll try to influence you. And then you listen to this music and the jam is like very nice. And you're like, okay. Then you start listening to it. From there, you listen to it day by day and you're like, let me just
I understand.
I'll go back when it's time.
I understand. And Daniel, can you give me an example of whether it's positive or negative peer pressure that you have experienced?
Okay, recently I experienced one, but not me.
Okay.
It was actually my friend. So he was like, he went to write the exam. So he does not live around here. He lives near, he lives far sharp, but that far is like the place is very local and the rest. So it was not like, Daniel, if not for you and Isaac, which we are three.
Your other friend?
My other friend. If not for you and Isaac, I don't know where I would be now.
Really?
Yeah, because he, at the point, he went into smoking.
Wow.
Then he came back again. Talked to him, and then before he decided to take jam. This is that.
So you were the positive peer pressure for your friend, or influence. That's very good. Pastor, I would like to ask you, do you think that young adults are the only ones that are exposed to peer pressure?
Everybody gets exposed to peer pressure, positive, negative. Everybody. It does not exclude anybody. As long as you're human, you have an influence of some people over your life that are pushing you to do what naturally you would want to do, either positively or negatively. An example of positive peer pressure, even for teenagers, we'll think of a young lady who gets to school, who doesn't want to attend any fellowship, she just wants to stay on her own. She feels I've had too much of church at home, I'm just in school now. Then another young girl just comes to her, let's go to this fellowship, and she gets there, enjoys this time, and says, I like this fellowship, I want to come again. That's a positive pressure. Yes. Everybody experiences it. So now that you have old people, young adults who goes to work, who are influenced by their mates, by their colleagues at work to cheat. Negative peer pressure. You have women, elderly women who are influenced by their friends to begin to have extramarital affairs. Those are negative peer pressures. So it happens to everybody. You have pastors who are influenced by other pastors to begin to add things to God, to assist God. That's negative peer pressures. You have pastors who follow other pastors we're having ICML very soon. Some other pastors will follow other pastors who are not members of our denomination. That's positive peer pressure. It happens everywhere.
Okay. I would like to ask, what do you think is something that is particular to the young adults and the teenagers that they are particular to, like peer pressure? What is that thing that you say, okay, it's common to the teenagers and the youth that they are pressured to do?
There's something you call the rave of the moment. For every generation, there's a rave of the moment. So that rave of the moment is always what they are influenced to do. For this generation, you could talk about the four major ones: the alcohol, strong drinks, talk of sex, you talk about musicals, godly musicals.
Okay, Esther, do you have anything to add? What do you think is that thing that you feel like teenagers are more likely to be pressured to do? Smoking.
Yes, because like recently, everything is all about smoking. This type of smoke, this type of this, weed and stuff like that. It's like basically what is raining right now.
What about you, Daniel?
It is music. Because it's the music, and because most times what you hear makes an impression in you. So the impression that is made is expressed in some way. So the music which some people listen to now, music like when you listen to those Malians and the rest, you be like, oh, they don't do this. And you feel like I'm this. I'm carrying this, and then you start behaving to the music.
Yes. I understand what you're saying. All right. I would like to ask, why do you think it is so hard to resist peer pressure?
Okay, it's not actually somewhat hard in some way. It's just
that's your opinion. You feel like it's not hard.
It's not hard in some way. It's just you
as a person.
Yeah, so just take your stand, and it's either if there's a time I was like, okay, I'm going to get a set of friends, and if this set of friends they are not imparting enough in me, I'm going to let them go. if they are not up to the standards which I want them to be, I'm going to just let them go. So you need to take this particular stance. If they are doing what I don't like, I'll just leave them, they should go. And if I feel although I have a part to play in their life, if I feel they can still change, I'll talk to them and then bring them back. If they are going to align, then good for them. But if they are not going to align, I've played my role by bringing them back. So they are not accepting. So it's just take your stand. Know what you want.
Okay. Esther, you said you've been exposed to negative peer pressure. Do you think it's very hard to resist? Do you agree with Daniel that okay, I can easily resist, or do you think that
Deals with your self-esteem.
it boils down to self-esteem? Okay.
If you have a low self-esteem, you would probably just fall and never be able to come out of it.
Wow.
Then if you have a high self-esteem, like I feel sometimes I have self-esteem, so if you have it, you should be able to come out of it. Go back to positive self-esteem.
All right. We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, the discussion continues. Welcome back to Things Are Fair, and we are discussing peer pressure today. Pastor, I would like to ask, following up on what Esther said earlier, do you think it is hard to resist peer pressure?
On a serious note, I personally think that it is hard to resist pressures.
Okay.
It's hard because that's why it's called pressure. It's called pressure. If you are one person resisting one person, it will be easy. If you are one person resisting 10 people, it's difficult. Because 10 people are exerting pressure on you. That's why we encourage that you should be careful the people you have chosen around you to exert pressure on you. You notice that if you have 5-6 girls living together in a room, in the same room, and the 5 of them are very wayward, only one is not wayward. Let her live with them for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years. Before you know it, it's difficult for her on daily basis. It's becoming increasingly difficult for her to maintain her stand. One day she will sleep with them. She will just do what they're doing. So it's quite difficult to resist. The easiest way to resist peer pressure is to ensure that the right set of people are around you so that they can exert on you the right set of influence you want.
Okay. I'd like to give an example. If people around me are doing a particular hairstyle and all of a sudden I feel like I want to make that hairstyle, do you consider that peer pressure?
It's peer pressure. That pressure could be positive or negative, but the effect could be weighty or light. That's peer pressure, but the effect is light on you. There are other peer pressures that the effect will be weighty on you, either positive or negative.
So you're saying in that
because the reason why you see it as, you're not saying it as peer pressure is because you're a lady and a lady must do her hair. Now imagine that I'm a man, I'm a young boy, and everybody is doing dreads. And I want to do it. Now you begin to see it as a negative peer pressure. But because you're a lady and you're just doing hair that every other person is doing, you're not seeing it as peer pressure.
But I want to ask, in that kind of scenario, would you consider it kind of like a silent or not really there kind of pressure? Because it's not like they're saying make this and make this, but because I said everywhere that is around me, I said that, oh, this is going to look nice on me, let me make it. Do you think that there's something like, there's a pressure that is not always physical?
Peer pressure is not always active.
Okay.
There's active pressure where you are placed under pressure to do it.
Okay.
There's very passive one, silent one, that you just watch the people do it, and over time, what you've been fighting against before, you begin to accommodate, they begin to tolerate, they begin to participate. Over time, nobody is forcing you to do it. You just feel that these guys are enjoying themselves. Let me just have a taste of what they're enjoying.
Do you have something to say?
Not really.
All right, moving on. I'd like to ask, what do you think is the effect of peer pressure on an individual?
So it depends on the pressure. Depends on the influence rather. The influence, if it's negative, then the effect will be so, like, the effect will be somehow. And then if it's positive, the effect would work for you.
Okay.
So in the sense that if I influence you negatively, if the influence I'm putting on you is negative, you surely do the things I'm doing, which will affect you later. But if I'm putting a positive effect, that's influence on you, what you do is what I'm doing, which will benefit you later.
Yes.
So this friend of mine that I was talking of the other time, that I said he was thanking me and my other friend. He was the person that like led me into listening to gospel songs.
Wow.
Because we were having a competition then, and he was like, Daniel, I have 1,600 gospel songs and I can sing almost all of them.
Really?
Exactly. And later, I was now the person that went into smoking.
Wow.
And then we had to talk to him and the rest, then bring him back again. Before he started thanking us. So, actually, we were positive influence on him. And then the other guys around him, were like negative influence also. So the effect of us, that's me and my other friend, on him brought him back. And then the influence of the other guys
On him,
made him something else.
All right. Esther, you want to add to what you said? What do you think is the effect of peer pressure?
I think what they said is okay, yes.
Okay.
But I feel you should always be careful. Just like Pastor said, we should just be careful of people we have around us. So we should be careful that we should not try to influence us, no matter how hard. Yes, it can be very hard. Like you said, if it's one person, it is okay. You can be able to manage it. But if it's like 10 people, 15, it will be very, very hard for you to not be influenced by it.
I'd like to ask, what, in a case where you feel like you're peer pressure and you go to your parents, what do you think their response should be at that situation, at that time?
I think the best thing they can do for me is try to say you should advise me.
Okay.
And they should get to know the situation, the peer pressure, exactly the situation I was influenced with, so they can know how to help me. And I think that's all.
Okay. Daniel,
sorry. What's in a case where your parents are this kind of harsh people?
I was just about to ask that.
Like you don't actually get to see them. They are harsh, and when they are around, they're always harsh. Like, what are you doing there? Get out! And the rest.
I feel there's always one person that we can rely on.
So it doesn't have to be your parents.
It doesn't have to be your parents.
Okay.
It can always be one particular person that you know very well, and like you get to tell every single situation in your life about it.
But what if I'm trying to paint this scenario now? What if the person you rely on, you feel like I'm telling this person everything, is the person that is pressuring you to do something you don't want to do? In that kind of situation, what should you do?
Okay. I don't know, depending on how you're brought up. For me, I was brought up in a godly way. So if a situation is like that, I always make sure I have someone that is godly beside me, like my counselor.
Okay.
There's always one person that I know if I slide to this way, she's always going to be there, and a godly person that will always help me in every situation.
All right, Pastor, I'd like to ask, in a situation where someone is in a position where it's surrounded by peer pressure, negative peer pressure, and like Daniel said, his parents are harsh, he can't talk to them, and he doesn't even have maybe a confidant or a pastor or a counselor to talk to, what should that person do at that moment?
He has gotten himself to a very bad state.
Wow.
Number one, he has surrounded himself with people who are influencing him negatively. Number two, he doesn't have somebody whom he can talk to. That's a very difficult state to find yourself. Very, very difficult. No teenager must get to a stage where he can't confide in his parents. If he feels he can't confide in his parents, he must have at least one or two persons, counselors, that he can confide in. Those are people that will save him or her from challenges. Now, if you now happen that there's someone who has gotten himself to that state, he should retrace his steps. At any point you discover that you are driving on the wrong road, the best thing to do is to reverse. He has gotten himself to a place where he has surrounded himself with bad people. Number one, cut off those relationships. Number two, he doesn't have people that he can run to. Start looking for one. It's not hard to find one. Run to any churches or any of the churches around that you know this is Bible teaching church, and confide in the pastor. This is a challenge I have, this is a problem I have, and begin to confide in him from there. God will.
And one more thing, I feel that is when public announcement or public influence or public advertisement of things like this should come in, whereby the society are helping.
So you're coming in from the societal angle.
Yes. Where they can come in and then give words, things that should announce to people. Because just like you said, if you don't have people like that around you,
what would you do?
Society should be able to help you in one way or the other.
Thank you very much for coming on the show. That is all we can take on this episode of Things Are Fair. Till I come your way next time, remember to be positively peer Treasured. My name is Kenny Aklelu.